All right, and today, Ryan Cenicola, who will be talking about Coachella. He is the lead innovation producer over at Coachella. Super, super excited to have him today. And I'm not going to take the intro. I'm going to hand it over to you and take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Josh. Hello, everyone. It's really cool to see everyone here. Um, Josh, just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Josh and I met. We happened to be seated next to each other at the lunch counter at Bun and Me. I'm not sure if you remember that. Great restaurant on Montana in Santa Monica. Highly recommend. Since then, has been willing to offer advice and opportunities like this. So just want to give a shout out to you, Josh, and say thank you. Let me get my screen going and we'll dig in. So, the topic for today's conversation is music festivals as the world building frontier. In particular, we're going to talk about world building in the context of Coachella and some of the innovation programs that we've developed with the festival over the past few years. We see Coachella not only as a music festival, but as a canvas to experiment with emerging technologies that are all connected by narrative and design. So my goal is to share some of the things we've learned along the way. And the hope is that those learnings can help all of you as you build your worlds at scale. We'll start off by, the fundamentals, the foundations. We'll talk a little bit about Coachella, about the innovation team and what we do and some of our goals. We'll talk then about some of the creative design and direction principles that we think about when we're developing these programs. And then we'll look at the work. We'll look at how we bring the world to life by looking at some of our programs from the past few years. But let's start with the basics. Coachella. So I'm sure many of you know what Coachella is if you're here on this talk. Hopefully, a lot of you have been able to experience it in person or via the Coachella YouTube live stream online. But Coachella is a music festival. It takes place in the heart of the Coachella Valley in Indio, California. It was first took place 1999. Headliners Tool, Rage Against the Machine, Beck, some legendary artists. Took place over 2 days in October with 40,000 people, and since then has grown to really a global phenomenon. Each weekend now has over the 2 weekends there are 250,000 people that attend the in-person event, and there are millions of people who are following along online, whether that's on the Coachella YouTube live stream, on social media, or on some of the emerging technology programs and immersive platforms that we'll talk about today. I'm here representing the innovation team, really talented team of technologists, designers, producers, creative people who are passionate about the live music experience and technology. Our role is to test, experiment, develop, and deploy these new and creative use cases of emerging technology at the festival. And our hope is that we will inspire people around the world by scaling artistic experiences using technology. We work with really amazing technology partners at the festival, as well as the festival directors, the festival marketing team, to bring all these things to life. Our focuses over the past few years have been across AI, mixed or extended reality, gaming, Web3, and what we like to call the future of fan experience. And so we're really passionate about what we do. And if I had to summarize our goal in a succinct statement, I would say our goal is to scale the Coachella experience, whether that's for the people that are on site and enjoying it in person, or for those who can't be there in person but want to be a part of the moment online. Now, scaling the Coachella experience sounds nice, but what does that actually mean? Do we mean we're actually going to plant more grass and make the field larger? I'm no expert in grass. So to demonstrate what this means, I actually want to tell a little story. And that story is about a young boy named Ryan. That's me. This is me when I was 11 years old with my band. We were called 111, named after the main road that serves as the artery through the Coachella Valley. And I was really passionate about music and live music in particular. And when you're passionate about those things and you're a young punk rock kid and you're trying to make it in the music industry, Coachella is sort of the beacon, right? It's the holy grail of music experiences. And so you kind of live in the shadow of this event. And I did that quite literally. This is the home that I grew up in. And right above down the block is the Coachella polo fields where the Coachella takes place. And so, it was always right there within my vision, within my horizon, and something that I always looked up to. But one problem for this young boy was that he was not allowed to go to the festival until he was in high school. Shout out to my parents, who I think are on this call right now. I know that they were just doing their best, and um, I appreciate you. Um, So instead of going to the actual festival, I would go to the wall that's right there adjacent to the main road and sit and look up into the sky and see the lights that were, beaming up from the festival, looking at the balloon chains, looking at the set times on my phone and trying to piece out some of the artists that were performing at that time and try to imagine myself there. And one year when the traffic got really bad, my brother and I even sold hot dogs to the fans that were waiting in line who were hungry, and we made a quick buck, you know, business. But good things come to those who wait, and eventually I was allowed to go to the festival. And this is my mom was also very excited about it. This is her post of dropping us off at the festival. Hashtag crazy kids, hashtag best friends. Um, I'm glad that she finally let us do that. Um, but I remember that year very vividly. I remember getting the welcome box and being excited to open it up and take out all the knickknacks and put my wristband on. I remember the anticipation of counting down the days to the actual festival. And then, when the day came, when I was able to actually walk through those doors and experience Coachella for the first time. And it was more than I could have imagined. I remember sitting underneath some of the large scale art installations and being in awe at their scale. I remember making new memories with my friends and making new friends along the way. And of course, seeing more music than I could have ever imagined. At events like Coachella, there's something magical about them. There's an energy to the air. The colors are more vivid. We feel more present in the moment. And so when we talk about scaling the Coachella experience, what we really mean is scaling the feeling of Coachella. It's scaling that sacred event, but also protecting it, making sure that any of the innovation programs that we're developing are not only adding to the experience, but are not interfering with it. So scaling the feeling of Coachella, that's how we think about what we do. But to do that, we need to have some design principles. To do that at scale, when we're working with dozens of creators and vendors and technology partners, how do we communicate that we want to protect that experience? We'll talk a little bit about those world building principles now. If we had to distill the Coachella experience into three pillars, this is what we have. The first is that Coachella is a canvas for creativity. Quite literally, Coachella is an open grass field where we build stages that serve as black boxes for artists to build the worlds of their dreams for their fans and make really memorable experiences. Coachella is also a platform for discovery. Fans come to Coachella because they're coming to discover things, whether that's new art, new music, new friends, and even discover themselves. And so we need to protect um, that element of discovery and make sure that the element of discovery is baked into everything that we do. And finally, we view Coachella as sort of a mixed reality playground. When people come to events like Coachella, they're also more open to play, similar to museums like you work on, Josh, and some of the many other spaces I'm sure people build here. And when people are open to play, they're more willing to try out some new emerging technology experiences. And so Coachella is a really unique place where you can have a fully physical experience and not engage with technology, or you can get engaged with technology at various touch points along the virtuality continuum. One other thing that we think about very deeply is that fan journey. Like I said, we're all fans of the Coachella experience, and we know the major touch points along the fan journey from the lineup announcement earlier in the year all the way through the end of the festival. And so we think deeply about this. We almost liken it to a hero's journey where you accept the call to adventure when you get your welcome box and you put your wristband on, you make the pilgrimage out to the desert, you leave the ordinary world and cross the threshold into this extraordinary world where, you know, everything's crazy pretty much. And you have transformational experiences there, and then you leave and come home renewed with new perspectives and what people call the Coachella glow, which is, that feeling that you get when you return back to the ordinary world after the festival. So we think a lot about this journey, and we actually time the release of a lot of our experiences to key moments on this timeline to make sure that we feel like an authentic part of a fan's journey and not just a one-off commercial or brand activation. We want to make sure we feel a part of that journey. And so, with all that context set, let's dig into some of the work and talk about how we actually have brought this to life, some of the challenges and learnings, and fun things along the way. When we look at a timeline of how we develop our programs, earlier, many months before the festival, around 6 months, we work with our technology partners and festival directors, festival marketing team, to look at the various technologies that are available to us and come up with concepts for interesting ways that these technologies could be applied at the festival, serving our pillars, whether it's serving artists to help them tell their stories and world build more, or serving fans, helping them discover more, or something that's just cool. Sometimes things can just be cool. After we do that, we go back and we put together this handbook where we look at all of our different concepts, and we also gather all of our design principles. We put together references and basically everything that a designer or a producer will need to build one of our innovation programs. And so we see this handbook as the Bible, the place where our creators can always reference to ensure that they're developing something that feels a part of the Coachella experience. And we talk about all the things that we've talked about in this talk thus far. Um, and what we also do in this handbook is each year work with the festival teams to come up with a theme. We come up with a new theme each year that we then design all of the experiences around, as well as the marketing campaigns that support these experiences. In 2023, our theme was called Discover the Mirage. And so we came up with this creative concept of the Mirage, which is a physical manifestation of the creative energy of the festival. And so it's sort of ignited by music and fans engaging with the welcome box, as you see in this promo video here that we created. Um, and the Mirage sort of serves as this interdimensional energy, and it unlocks creative experiences across different dimensions of reality. So we have physical experiences, but then we also have, experiences in mixed reality and gaming, which we'll dig into in a moment. So this is our Discover the Mirage campaign, and it was split into two parts. And so the first part we released right around the time fans were getting their welcome box, which contains their wristband. And the second part we released a few days before the festival, because that part takes place on the festival grounds to sort of tie into that moment of fans making their journey to the festival. And what we also do is when we release these marketing videos, we release the innovation touch points at the same time. And so in part one on the top left, you'll see that's connected to this augmented reality experience, the phone on the left, that features the welcome box and the same portal that you see in the video. And so immediately as fans see the marketing piece, they can go and engage with the portal and see it for themselves and be a part of the story. And then the second video, what we have here is the Mirage opening up these portals to dimensions of artists' worlds and their creative worlds. And then at the same time, we released augmented reality effects that allowed the fans to step into the worlds of some of the artists at the festival, Blackpink and Toby Nwigwe, who you can see there on the right. You were able to step into his room and click on the instruments, which would play a stem from one of his songs. It was a really cool interactive way to engage with his music in a 3D replica of his studio. And then, so that's all pre-show. We want to engage people pre-show, make sure the Coachella experience extends beyond just that physical environment. But then at the festival, we really want to engage with this digital layer of creativity. And so working with our amazing AR team and MetaSpark as our tech partners, we developed over 20 AR effects, I think more than that over the past few years, where fans can engage with cool creative extensions of art installations. We had branded experiences. We had, experiences designed by artists like Justice or Ludmilla. And so we see the festival or AR at the festival as a way to engage with this creative layer of the festival that's not necessarily seen. Plenty of learnings over the past few years. Mixed reality is a key pillar of ours on the innovation team. Learnings from, how many megabytes the effects should be for loading time, how to prevent phones from overheating, interoperability across different devices. It's quite the challenge to get these things to work, but we've found a lot of successes over the years, including where to put signage and things like that. Two of my favorites that I wanted to call out. The one on the left, this is a cute little bunny named Harmony the Hare. And so we actually asked users in the Coachella Discord to use a generative AI tool called Wide Worlds to come up with a Coachella mascot or a new Coachella animal pet. And then the users in the Discord voted for the one that they liked the most, and then we brought it to life in AR. And users, you can actually have this bunny follow you around, and you can, click on the ground and have the bunny move around the space. And it was just a fun, little way to allow the fans to world build and create with us. And then on the right, we developed this AR scavenger hunt. And so we placed signage around the festival grounds and challenged fans to find 4 mirage flowers. So each of these flowers harnessed a certain power of the mirage. And when you scan the QR code, it opens up a portal and sort of grants you this mirage flower that was also audio reactive to the environment around it. And when you collected all of the flowers, you were eligible for a prize. And so featuring some of the creators here, you can see their credits. We had some really amazing AR creators we've worked with over the years. So that's how we help extend, the storytelling and the feeling and of Coachella with on site. Each of these effects also had an at-home component, so those at home could tap on the effects accessible on Instagram, and they could try it out for themselves. But another platform that is very important to Coachella is the Coachella YouTube live stream. And so how do we scale that? In 2022, we launched our broadcast augmented reality program. So this was an amazing collaboration with YouTube and Epic Games and some amazing vendors. Our amazing XR producer, Eric Guagliardo, helped bring this to life. We basically used Unreal Engine to, in real time, map these 3D effects to the performance. And this was Flume, the first year that we did in 2022, bringing these giant parrots to life. We had some giant flowers, brought those to life as well. And so we're really excited about how this allows artists to extend their canvas, extend their worlds beyond just the confines of the stage, and also to give those artists or those fans that are watching on the live stream an enhanced experience. We also used the technology throughout the day to continue our world building a bit. We had these Mirage bumpers that played in between the shows. And we also, or a little bit of the BTS here. An amazing team of Juan Cintian, who's the director, and Eric in this video. You can see it's quite the program. And some of the main challenges that this program faced, I think, for one, the main thing is the stakes. This is live, and the Coachella performance, especially on the main stage, excuse me, there's a garbage truck going by. I hope you can't hear that. The Coachella performance on the main stage is an artist, a big moment in an artist's career, and there are dozens of designers and creators that are working on that show. The artist has, programmed that show to a T. So you don't want your program to be the thing that messes up. And so the stakes are really high, and we made sure that there were plenty of rehearsals and plenty of assurances to make sure that things would work. Another challenge was, the desert elements. For this program to work, you have to bring in your own broadcast cameras affixed with tracking equipment to work with Unreal Engine. And the elements are difficult out there. There's dust, there's heat, and they have to, stand out there in the dust and heat all weekend long as we're testing, and then all the way up to showtime. And so you have to make sure things, are functioning all the way up till the moment of the show. And the last challenge, I think, is, if you've ever watched the Coachella live stream, it is cinematic. It is the most premium music live stream out there, and that team does a really great job. And so, they have a very set pipeline, when they're thinking about the broadcast. And so we just want to make sure that when we are introducing something new into that pipeline, that there are, again, assurances that we're making sure that we're not going to break anything in that pipeline, and that we're working with the right people to make it all run smoothly. We expanded this program in 2023 when the Gorillas happened to be booked on the lineup, and we kind of looked at ourselves and said, well, this is the perfect use case of this technology, allowing the Gorillas to perform with their physical counterparts for the first time. We collaborated with Nexus Studios, who produced the Times Square experience with these characters, and we're able to bring them on top of the Coachella stage when they performed the song Skinny Ape. And so this was a really awesome moment for us. We also worked with Bad Bunny and their creative team at Sturdy to bring the this sort of, aquatic theme to life across the festival grounds. And then we expanded the program to the Sahara tent in 2024. So we worked at both the main stage and the Sahara tent, working with DJ Snake, Grimes, and Anima to bring their virtual worlds to life in that stage. And so with a new stage, if anyone knows about the Sahara tent, it's a tented structure, so it's not open world like the main stage is. And so there are, new constraints when you're thinking about masking and making sure the effects work correctly. And so just new challenges that we set ourselves up for, and the team did a great job. So that's our broadcast AR program. We're always looking for ways to allow artists to extend their canvas. And I think that as we're seeing sort of the inevitability of, AI glasses and XR glasses, if those do become more ubiquitous at the festival, you can see how this is a program that ladders up to artists being able to actually build immersive worlds while on site. And then we can also bring these into virtual reality headsets as well. Well, speaking of Unreal Engine, I want to talk a little bit about gaming. So gaming and Coachella are a lot alike. When you look at a game, it's an open world where you're able to go be with your friends, complete challenges, sort of choose your own adventure, and roam around. And Coachella is pretty much like that. You're able to come, it's concurrent, it's with your friends, you're able to choose your own adventure and have your own journey at the festival. And so we love gaming, and we see gaming as an amazing platform to scale the Coachella experience. And so we started a partnership with Epic Games in 2022 to develop Coachella in Fortnite. And so we launched Coachella Island in Fortnite in 2023 with the help of Alliance Studios, allowing fans to run up the spectra, play Coachella themed games, listen to music from the festival artists. And we also developed Coachella cosmetics and accessories. And these were launched at the same time as the festival weekends, allowing those who are at home to engage more deeply with the festival. We expanded this program in 2024. At the same time that we extended the broadcast AR program in the Sahara tent, we built Sahara Island in Fortnite. So expanding the Coachella world and the Coachella canon in Fortnite. We built the Sahara tent. And then what's really cool about this program is we worked with the same artists that we worked with on the broadcast AR program, and brought those same assets that were featured on the broadcast AR program into the gaming space and made them interactive and built games around them and allowed fans to engage with those same assets in the game. And so when we talk about interoperability and world building, we see this as a really great example of that, helping artists bring the visuals that they built just for their stage performance to life in new ways, interactive ways that reach more audiences. The last program I want to talk about is Coachella Quests. And so Coachella Quests is basically a scavenger hunt. We built this app where fans could go around the festival and scan QR codes and gather stamps. And these stamps were actually NFTs. And each stamp serves as an additional stamp on their passport. And the more stamps that they gather, they're eligible for more and more prizes. And so we saw this as a really fun way to allow fans to continue discovering more at the festival, and sort of develop a unique identity within the festival that can carry on with them year after year. And so we also had the Quest Hideaway activation where you can come inside, hang out a little bit, get some AC, and learn how to play the game. And so this is how we also think about Web3, is creating this unique layer of identity for the festival fans that can help scale their festival experience. So that's all the case studies we want to talk about today. And if I had three takeaways, things that I have learned along the way that I'd love to share. The first is that the best innovations honor the timeless. I talked about it before, but innovation is amazing and great, and it's how we move forward. But if your innovation is interfering with the core of the experience, it's interrupting a feeling, it's interrupting the moment, then it really shouldn't be there. So thinking a lot about what you're choosing to use and making sure that it's there for a reason. Number two is technology is the brush and not the masterpiece. In the same way, it can be very attractive to just go to the shiny new thing. But it's important to understand that something like Coachella, what you're building is just a touch point in a fan's larger experience and a larger journey. And so recognizing where in that experience you lie is really important. And finally, make every touch point resonate with your world. We think about this a lot. We want to make sure, like I said, all of these feel authentic to the festival experience. And so we do a lot of the groundwork ahead of time, establishing the themes, the principles, references to how things are supposed to look to ensure that everything feels like it resonates with the physical festival that the festival directors have worked so hard to create and maintain this incredible environment and experience. And so if the touch point doesn't resonate, if it doesn't feel right, then it doesn't belong. Thank you very much. It was an honor to share some of this with you today, and I'd love to chat about it some more.
All right, Ryan, amazing. Love this. We had a bunch of questions starting to pop up in the chat. Uh, for those of you who don't know the drill, just like go on camera and ask the questions. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So, um, let's see who or ping me and I'll ask for you. But chat, where shall we start? Okay. Um, okay. Brooke, did you want to ask your question?
Sure. Yeah, I was curious about engagement with all of these different innovations, both the AR, at the festival, but also the things that you created for the at-home experience, and how much engagement do you get versus the greater total numbers?
Certainly. So we develop a number of different experiences. For example, the mobile AR experiences. We develop some that are made just for those at the festival, right? The art installation extensions are really meant for those who come to the festival and want an enhanced moment. But we also do create, more engagement focused effects like face or cosmetic effects, and those, get hundreds of thousands of uses. And so we try to create experiences that reach a number of different audiences. Our games in Fortnite, Coachella Island had 3 million people in the first week. And so, we think a lot about the different people that we're engaging with and try to build something for everyone. Um, you know, everyone, like I said, on site, there are 250,000 people. Everyone's looking for something different. Some people want no digital experience, some people do. And so it varies based on each program.
All right, excellent. Matt, you had a question.
Yeah, this is amazing, Brian. Thank you. One simple, which is with Spark Studio kind of being deprecated, like how are you thinking about AR going forward? And then just generally kind of following on from the last question, okay, those were the numbers, but like how do people feel about the AR stuff? Like qualitatively, like do people tend to be like, this is amazing, it blows my mind, I want more AR stuff, or like, that was cool. Like what else?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And thanks for the question, Matt. And thanks for your talk. I enjoyed yours as well. It's very cool. Um, uh, to address the second question, how does it feel? That's something obviously that I think about a lot. And while we're on the grounds, I will go around and ask fans to try things out and get their reactions in real time. And it certainly varies. I think a lot of people are looking for at one level content to capture. And so the art installation extensions or the cosmetic effects are additional content, additional layers of content they can capture and share, with their friends. And that's something people are looking to do at the festival. But yeah, like I said, it varies, it varies. Some people are very excited about it. Some people say, oh, this is just cool. But to kind of lead into your second question, with Spark AR no longer being with us, a lot of the principles do apply. And so we have learnings where we've, increased engagement each year over year. And I think those learnings will continue to apply. And we're looking at, some of the new platforms that are out there. Um, Personally interested in, Android XR, interested in, Horizon. And so we're looking to a number of different platforms, and we definitely still see, it as a priority. It's just how these things go, right? Things come and go.
All right. Aki, you had a question. I hope I pronounced your name right. Oh, still muted.
Hi,
Great.
IK. My name's IK.
Okay, thank you.
I think
Sorry.
we've spoken a couple times. Thank you for this talk. I was really excited because my thesis, my master's was about transmedia storytelling, and so I'm really excited to see it be this, how you're approaching it, as a design practice. And the question I had is, when you're designing all these touch points, do you create a experiential master plan? And like how you navigate, like how you like decide the user journey and the different touch points and how they like resonate with the entire world. And the other question I had was about IP, like IP ownership. How do you navigate that in terms of sharing assets across experiences? If that ever comes up as like a legal issue, maybe, or just an ownership issue as well. How do you navigate that with IP and sharing assets?
Hmm. Yeah, two great questions. I think transmedia storytelling is something I'm passionate about as well. Um, to your first question, yes, certainly. I think that handbook serves as that. You know, if things are always changing up until the festival, right? When you're building things, things are always you gotta remain nimble. But we really try to stay true to that handbook. We try to stay true to the principles that we've established in that handbook. We talk about how each of these touch points, what our goal is in terms of how they resonate with people. How do we want these mixed reality experiences to feel? Is it just, like Matt said, something that's cool? Or is this, a deeper layered piece of storytelling, like maybe some of the marketing campaigns? And so we have different tiers of these experiences, and we think about how people will feel when engaging with them for sure. In regards to IP, yeah, one of our goals is to create some more Coachella IP and more ways for fans to engage with Coachella. And we do that through IP that looks and feels like Coachella. But we also, as you see, work with a lot of artists. And artists have their own IP and their own worlds. And so
Mhm.
that's really just, a process of having a good relationship with the artists and their teams and working together to understand what the vision is and what the mission is. And of course, there are some times when, you need to have a legal conversation about sharing a specific asset. I think especially when you think about
Mhm.
um, some of the broadcast programs, but everyone's really collaborative and is when they're excited about the idea, you can make it happen.
All right.
Great,
Uh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, you had a question. Oh, he's off camera. Do you wanna ask? Do you wanna go on audio, or I can ask for you? All right. Do you limit or edit what AR or brand experience can develop for individual spaces?
Do you limit? Oh, let me read this. Limit, read it. What brand?
Edit AR, a brand experience can develop for individual spaces. So I guess
Oh,
maybe that's like, what are the guardrails? Like, maybe that's the
yeah.
question.
Certainly. And so all of the AR on site is built in collaboration with our AR team and our AR producers. And so they're well versed in all of the design principles. And but if I give an example of working with Nike last year, where we had this experience with Nike where fans could scan a QR code sign near the Spectra Tower, which was the Rainbow Tower in the middle of the field. And when they do, they can point their camera to the tower and they could see a giant Air Max shoe sort of using the tower as a trampoline. It was pretty fun. And when they did that, they were eligible to win a prize as well. And so, the AR team, when they are working with Nike, they are, I think how I'd best put it is, we know what works best, what fans will engage with the most. And so we work with them to basically guide that experience, right? And taking into account their IP and what their goals are, featuring the shoe, getting people to their activation. But we make sure that it's built with all of the same design principles in mind and then make sure the look and feel is the same. It feels aesthetically resonant with all the other effects that we're making. And so short answer is we work directly with the brand teams and come up with a collaborative idea that, meets both needs.
All right. All right. Now I'm gonna take this gap and then I'm gonna ask my own questions. I have so many questions. So one of the things I'm really curious about is, what is this? What is the you mentioned some partners like Nexus Studio, like working with some agencies. Like, how many agencies are you guys typically working with? Are you the client? Do you have your own production teams also to handle certain things? Like, how does that all map out?
Sure. So, we are the Coachella Innovation Team. We're a collective of, people that we bring on for these projects. And we have sort of a core team that works on the projects year round. And then once we sort of figure out what it is that we want to be building, we will bring on other agencies and other teams to help us, execute. Like I said, yeah, we've worked with Nexus in the past. We've worked with Worlds in the past, Forward Studio, and so there are plenty of people, depending on what the needs are, that kind of step in and help out. And, there are plenty of other vendors that have been long time executing at the festival as well that we engage with.
Yeah. So I'm gonna project some of my baggage onto you.
Okay.
So when we do a lot of stuff with museums, like they're often telling us to do AR because they don't want any actual digital stuff in the space. They're
Sure.
like, and it also seems cheaper than buying screens or projectors or something like that.
Mhm.
Is the impetus of the AR, is it from a more of a storytelling? Is it really storytelling, or is it also some of like the restrictions around like the sort of built environment or things like that that are coming from elsewhere?
Sure. I think yeah, there inherently are restrictions on the built environment just because space is very limited at the festival, right? And there
Yeah.
are so many things you have to consider. I mean, safety is the first one, right? And crowd flow and all these different things and how many activations there are. And so the amazing production team at the festival handles all of that. And so I will say, yes, AR I think is a solve for some problems of if a brand wants to show up in a particular way or an artist wants to show up in a particular way, AR serves as a solve for that. And so I think it does, first and foremost, serve as, this additional layer of engagement for fans. And then once, we have that goal met, we can think about, okay, how does this fit into our story? How are we guiding fans through it? And so I think it's both things, right? I think the festival is always willing to experiment and wants to try new things and is interested in these technologies. And so there is some, inherent desire to do it out of the coolness factor.
Totally, totally. Chris has a question. All right, or I can ask for you, Chris, whatever works.
Yeah, you can ask for me. It's okay.
Oh, no, you're already on. You're already there. Okay.
Okay, right. So now
Now you're
the
gonna do
question
it.
was the data, the collecting the data. Of course, with AR, XR, there's a lot of bureaucracy even behind this, but you can collect anything from, micro interactions and all kinds of stuff now. So we're over here I'm in Europe. I'm in Milan, right? So there are a lot of different cases about what's going to be allowed, not allowed. What is your protocol for collecting data with users? And are you using that to actually feedback into the experience? What do they like, not like? Are you augmenting new experiences because of what you learned from the data, this kind of thing? So just tell me what you're up to there.
Sure. From a data perspective, what I can speak to is there, each platform provides its own standard data, of course, and we utilize that and from things as opens, engagement, session time, things like that. So we keep it, pretty surface level because we do want to maintain, people's privacy and we're not trying to, track them around necessarily. We do a lot of on the ground, just going around and doing user testing and gathering data that way, which we actually feel sometimes is even more impactful than just looking at a spreadsheet of data, right? Is seeing how people actually use these things on the ground, what their pain points are, what they found, cool and creative about it. And so there's a temptation to just kind of sit back and look at the data and stay in your air-conditioned trailer. But to fight that and try to, meet the fans where they're at, that's something that we try to do a lot as well. And so from a personal perspective, yes, we're always looking at a variety of information to help inform what we're going to, build next. But it's always a blend, right, of data and then creativity and artistry.
All right.
Cool. Cool.
Chelsea, who is also a Future Spaces speaker.
Hi.
Good to see you.
See you too. Yeah, this is also kind of, I guess, similar to Josh, a self-serving question as a new artist myself, but I was wondering what your process is for deciding which artists you guys would like to collaborate with. I guess this is on the side of like, I saw like one of your AR experiences was an artist bringing their own, version of their like art into the world of AR. So I was wondering what your process is for choosing which artists you like to collaborate with or artists that you have on your docket that you would like to work with in terms of creating their own experiences or installations and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. And I actually have the lineup right here. I'll pull it up. Um, that's the challenge too, is you know, the lineup is sacred and held very secret, right? And so we develop the concepts for our use cases early on. You know, we may have an idea of like what kind of artists would be cool in mind, but we don't have the artists until the lineup is released as well. And so what we'll do is put together actually a deck that is artist specific, that summarizes the opportunities for that year. And we will send it out to artist teams and see if, you know, if anyone is willing to engage. And typically out of the, you know, 150 or so artists, there are some that are willing to lean in. And so we found it, you know, it's what we try and do is find the artists that will lean in, right? You don't want to find a team that is, you know, maybe focused on other things and not necessarily focused on the program. We try to work with those artists that are excited about the technology and have an idea and can add to it creatively, because that's really the goal, right? Is to hear their ideas and see what they could do with the technology. And so, yeah, we put together that deck. We have a lot of conversations with artists and eventually are able to find some to execute with.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Midnight Cookie, do you want to ask your question? It was coming from Burning Man, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. There you are.
Hey, thanks, Ryan, for being here. Quick question. When you describe your innovation team, is it synonymous with product? And if not, are they different? And I'm kind of curious on team size.
Sure. So, you know, the AEG also has their own product team, and we work closely with them. We work with a number of different teams inside of the ecosystem, and our team works pretty specifically on Coachella. And so there are members of the team that have, you know, product experiences and sort of lead the design, for example, of our Coachella Quests game. And so it depends on the program. We really just, if there's a need for, you know, product, we'll bring that in-house to the innovation team, or we'll just work with the resources that we already have. And so the team is pretty flexible, right? We have AR producers, Web3 producers, people who are somewhat generalists who can sort of step into different roles.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, who always has my favorite background. All right, go.
Yeah, just was curious about if you use the AR at all for traffic control, because there's different ways to like make it so that people will be pulled to specific areas. They sometimes do this with Niantic events and things like that. But I was wondering if you guys use that as a way to kind of control where people go or set people up to meet like in big groups or something.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, thinking about both practical and creative use cases, right? We have built an AR Wayfinder 2022. And you know, we found that for things that are more practical, fans aren't necessarily looking to any additional barrier outside of like looking at a map to try and get somewhere. And so we found that the engagement isn't necessarily there, and the need wasn't really necessarily there for something like a simple wayfinding app. But we haven't done anything more nuanced, like you just mentioned, like encouraging people to meet up, and that could be something that's certainly interesting, right? Some sort of AR friend finder or things like that.
Well, also just like in regards to gameplay, if the game is set up in a certain order, like certain events happen at certain times, like traffic control of like if enough people are playing, you know, whatever 10,000 people are playing, you can direct those 10,000 people or split them up so they don't. That's what I was curious about, if there's any play in
Yeah.
that space too.
Yeah, you know, I think my perspective on that is similar to the analogy of gaming, right? Coachella is sort of this open world game. You can choose your own adventure. We don't necessarily want to, you know, require that fans break any sort of, you know, element of their journey to have to go and do something at a certain time. Part of the Coachella experience is that serendipity and being able to sort of jump around. You meet a new group of friends, you go with them. And so that's one thing that I think about, but that's not to say that that idea, I think that is a solid idea too, because there are people who are there to meet new people who, you know, want to engage with people who are interested in this technology. And so that's something that could be interesting. You know, we do have like our Discord meetup every year for people who are interested in technology and Discord. And so maybe an added layer to that through gameplay would be really cool.
All right, awesome. Sarah, you had a question. All right, unmuting.
Yeah, find the button. Sorry. So how many different platforms, like how many different like locations can one go to interact with Coachella? You have like a Quest app, you're in Fortnite, you have a mobile app, and you are doing Spark AR, presumably through both Facebook and Instagram through like what are all the different outlets and tentacles, and like how do you sort of manage that with attendees and like, is it like pretty like a high friction experience to like try to get to the content, or like how do you make it so that it's accessible for folks depending on their like level of savvy with this type of stuff?
Yeah, thank you. And it's a good question that kind of gets to the heart of one of the problems we try to solve is how much are we building for the Coachella fan and the Coachella attendee, and how much are we building for people who are on that platform already? As an example, Fortnite, right? How much are we designing our Fortnite island to meet the needs of the player audience in Fortnite already, right? Young people who know what they like in Fortnite, right? And there are certain types of games that work really well and certain types of games that aren't really that interesting. Are they going to be interested in performance, or are they going to be interested in just playing a game? And so we balance both of those worlds, and depending on what the program is, we'll maybe lean one way or another, right? I think in Fortnite we've experimented with a number of different paths throughout the year. We've gone more experiential, let's say Sahara Island. And this year we released a new game called Coachella Pillars, which was inspired by a popular gameplay mode right now called Pillars, and basically created a Coachella themed version of that. And saw really great engagement with the existing user base. And so it's a blend of like trying to bring maybe the standard Coachella fan into Fortnite for the first time and trying to engage with the fans that are already on that platform. And so again, it's a mix. I think in the end, we're trying to just scale Coachella digitally, offer more touch points for people to interact. There are always people who are looking for more ways to engage with the festival in some sort of way. And so we do that, in as frictionless a way as possible, like you said.
Yeah. So I guess a follow-up question is, do you use AR for like wayfinding or other more like pedestrian things, like within the navigation component of the Coachella app? Because I'm assuming that you have like location awareness, location aware navigation and stuff. Do you utilize any like AR stuff for navigation and other more boring things? Or are you kind of only using it for like the more experiential fun stuff?
Yeah, as I touched on before, we look at both creative and practical use cases. We found that practical use cases typically don't get as much engagement because people are having fun, and there's so many other things to do at the festival. And there are maybe easier ways to get around, like looking at a map or asking a friend. And so, I think that if there is a unique way to do it, we could maybe have, better experience with wayfinding. But thus far, we found that creative use cases are the best.
Cool. And then I guess my other follow-up question is like, and this is a little bit off topic, but like the audio environment at Coachella must be violent. So how do any of these pieces incorporate audio? Do you purposefully not incorporate audio? Like how do you navigate that?
Sure. On-site, our experiences really are the mobile AR experiences and things like Coachella Quest. Coachella Quest is just a game, right? And so you're scanning QR codes and going around the festival. It's all visual and interactive. There's no audio component. And then our mobile AR effects, they do have audio, but that's primarily because there are also you can also open those off-site. You can open those in your living room and see the art installation in your living room. And so we worked with those art installation artists to imagine what the installation sounds like and what it looks like in another dimension. And so we do incorporate audio there, but certainly, that is a design constraint, is you can't really lean on audio for those that are at the festival.
And is the AR content in that it's like free and open to the public? Like, could I go look at it if I want? Or do I have
Those are built on Spark, and that is no longer with us.
Bummer. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you had a follow-up question?
I've actually have two. The first one is, when you're building the story world for your experiences, how do you decide which part of the story world you extend to a platform? Because that's really about beyond just the audience and like data. It's like that's like platform intelligence. So how do you know which which part of the world you map to a particular platform and that it will work on that platform. Yeah, so that's the first question I have.
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. Before we build, we do a lot of research. We will engage with experts in the space. For our Fortnite experience, for example, we worked with this really talented young creator named Brendan who helped advise us on we threw ideas at him and tried to figure out what would work best. We also built that one with Creators Core this year, and they helped us out figuring out what would work best. And so we have our ideas of what we think works, but we lean on the experts and we lean on the people that are actually engaging with those platforms and to see what they think would be interesting. And then for some of the on-site components, I think we lean on what we think would be interesting for a fan, just because we have a bit more experience in that realm. And so, yeah, it depends on each touch point.
Okay, and my second question is, for someone that wants to get into transmedia design as a design practice, what would be your advice? What do you wish you knew when you started out in this space?
What I wish I knew. I think it's a good thing that I didn't know much. I think, not knowing what you're getting into is valuable as well. When when we were working through this idea of like tying the innovation programs together into these cohesive brands and marketing stories, I think it was something that we had not seen before, but we wanted to see. And so when we embarked on that challenge, it's good in theory, but when you start to actually do it in practice, you run up against all the roadblocks, right? Like technical roadblocks, technical constraints, people not understanding technologies, necessarily. How do you walk people through a user flow in AR? We assume we know about AR. A lot of the fans of the festival have never used it before. And so I think, and then maybe this is just an easy way to skirt your question. I don't think so. But I think it's good that I didn't know much, because we're able to try and tackle some challenges that we didn't necessarily foresee. But having gone through those, and learning so much about the different ways to design these experiences, I think was super valuable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I'm gonna actually throw my own quick spin on that real quick, then I'll hand it over to Joyce to ask a question. I would say just make stuff. Like put stuff out in the world. Make stuff. If you don't know how to make it, form a band. Get people to know how to make stuff. These days, use ChatGPT, Claude. They'll help you make stuff. Just make stuff. Just yeah, stuff. Like less thinking, more making is usually the best way to start.
And put it out there.
Yeah, put it
Yeah,
out in the world.
Okay, thank
Let it
you.
let it be messy. It's gonna yeah. Joyce, you had a question.
Yeah, my question is, what kind of takes place between weekend one and weekend two from your team's perspective? Are there a lot of changes or adjustments or new builds that take place in between based off of like the first experience?
Yeah, it's a lot of lounging, naps, rest, just for the first day. And then after that, yes, we do we try as best we can to make adjustments, especially with our mobile AR experiences, right? We're able to get back out in the fields and we can say, maybe if this signage, QR code signage was a bit more, to the left or 100 yards this way, could we better engage fans? And so we look at the data and our AR experiences in particular, and make some adjustments. For sure. Yeah, we're looking at ways to improve, and there's not much you can do at that time. But we try our best to make adjustments. It's a great question.
All right. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left. All right, John, very quickly. We'll try to get yours in. Oh, you're muted though.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, just a quick question. It seemed like when you guys were talking about scaling the experience, you guys are breaking into virtual worlds. Are you guys interested in geolocated AR experiences and gamifying the experience off-site? Because I mean, one thing for me, it's I'm in Canada, so it's not always able to kind of engage with that. I think what's amazing what you guys are doing with YouTube and all that. But are you guys looking to kind of gamify that fan experience as well?
Sure. I think it's really interesting, the idea of using these programs to bring people together in physical spaces, right? Just because that is what the Coachella experience is, bringing people together in physical space. And so actually the first year we worked with Spark in 2022, the team created geolocated AR effects. We actually brought the art installations that were on site to specific locations around the world in Tokyo and Santa Monica, London. We called that campaign the Coachellaverse. I think it's still out there somewhere. And so, you know, that was, I think, an interesting way to do that, right? You had to go to that location to see the experience and take a photo with it and create content with it. And so certainly is an interesting idea that we're thinking about.
My second part of my question was a little bit more logistic, I guess. When you're designing some of these experiences, are you guys involving the musicians and their teams? And in that case, is it similar to working like with a brand where they have certain ROIs, or is that relationship a little bit more fluid?
With the artist teams,
Yeah.
it really it depends, you know. Some artist teams we actually have some people with a relationship with artists and artist teams, and that makes things more fluid. In some cases where that's not the case, it can be, you know, a bit more standardized. The short answer is it totally depends on the artist, and it's kind of nuanced depending on who you're working with, how much they understand the technology, what their goals are, how busy they are with other things like their physical show. And so it's different case by case.
All right, Ryan, this was excellent. Thank you so much for joining. This is
Yeah.
a wonderful thing to do on a August Thursday. So
Thank
sign
you.
it off. How can people find you? How can people help you? Like any
Yeah.
parting words of wisdom here?
Certainly. I mean, yeah, if anyone has any additional questions, you know, I'm always love to chat with fellow designers, directors. You can reach me on any social media platform at Ryan Cenicola. Hope to see you all out at Coachella someday. It's really an amazing experience. I see some of the team members that are in the chat right now. I just want to give them a shout out and say thank you. Um, and that's all I got. Thank you, Josh, for the opportunity, and it's really cool to see you all here today. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Good to see you, Ryan.